let's see. Alright, well, hopefully that works. Okay. So, I'm not using right now the mic for my phone, because last time I found that the that the audio wasn't too bad for the GoPro, so it's like, fuck it, I don't know, just right now, convenience. I don't feel like putting that little microphone in. But yeah, I already cooked or baked some stuff. I made some lemon bars and made this lemon curd stuff. And now I'm about to make the last thing, which is the last thing I planned on making, which is, well, okay, the second to last thing I plan on making. Vanilla cupcakes. And the reason for that is vanilla cake, or whatever you want to say, white cake recipes, they generally use, well, pretty much, yeah, they always use egg whites instead of, like, the whole egg. So to make that lemon curd, I used, to make that lemon curd, I used 4 egg yolk. So I had 4 egg whites left, so I was like, alright, might as well just make white cupcakes with those egg whites instead of wasting them. And yeah, so I guess I will start doing that and see how it goes. Have about an hour and probably about an hour and a half worth of recording time, but shouldn't take that long, but we'll see, I guess. At least, at the very least, the baking the cupcakes part. The frosting, not sure about that. But I'll keep a note on time, like 11, so it should be probably about 12:30. I should think of ending the recording, just if it runs out of footage or whatever. Okay. So what I need to do now, I already have 400 grams, 2 cups of white sugar. So now I need to add that with this melted, 2 sticks of melted butter. Mix together flour, blah blah blah. And a large melted butter, whisk in sugar. Mixture will be gritty. Whisk in egg whites. Okay, so basically all the liquids. Okay, fair enough. And I'll just use the Danish whisk, I think. I think it's fine to do that. And, don't believe I need the, this saucepan anymore for melted butter. I'll just wash that off a little bit. Yeah, that'll work. Okay. Now, mix this together. Yeah, I'll use my Danish whisk. Fuck it. This Danish whisk is, I would say, my, well, okay, probably besides the food scale, if you don't count the food scale, the Danish whisk is like my favorite, my favorite tool that I've used so far, I guess. I don't know, it's just a very versatile and solid piece of equipment. And it was cheap, man. This thing was like fucking $8, maybe like $7, $8 or some bullshit, and this thing is solid. Just the thickness of the the wires, or whatever you want to say, the stainless steel wires is just crazy. And it's still, you know, like, it's not as, like, if you truly needed a whisk, like a balloon whisk with the thin wires and everything, yeah, it wouldn't suffice for that depending on what you're trying to do. But for most cases, you don't really need that much, I don't know what you call it, aeration or coverage, I think. So, and this thing just is so sturdy that mixing, like, light or thick stuff, it doesn't, like, doesn't feel like it's going to break or anything like that, and it doesn't fatigue you nearly as much. So yeah, it's outside of the food scale, I think it's my favorite kitchen tool, pretty much. Definitely baking tool so far. It's good for almost everything, pretty much. Bread, mixing anything. Gritty, whisking egg whites, yogurt, milk, vanilla. Yogurt, milk, vanilla, egg whites. So the 4 egg whites, 120 grams of yogurt. I'll do the milk first. So 360 of milk. I'm just going to use whole milk, even though it says vanilla almond milk, but fuck that. So, yeah, I'll do the milk first. 360. I also need a spoon for the yogurt. Just use this. 360. Almost perfect. Doesn't need to be perfect, but close enough. Alright, I can put this away. I should have taken these out a little bit earlier, just so they're more room temperature, because stuff mixes better when it is the same temperature as the other things that you are mixing, but I did let it sit out for at least a little while. But yeah, it could have been better. Could have been better to leave it out longer, or whatever, take it out earlier. Alright, throw in the yogurt. Gotta open this. And since none of the stuff, or the recipe says to use, like, for many of the things, like vanilla flavored stuff, but I'm just like, fuck that. I'll just add more vanilla extract to compensate, I guess. That should be enough. A little bit more. Yep, that'll work. But yeah, I know for a lot of people, the way that I do stuff would be considered very inefficient or whatever, like washing many things as I'm mixing and working shit instead of like just leaving it for later. And I don't know, it just, to me, it just makes it just makes it feel easier. It makes everything feel less chaotic and cluttered by just, you know, just throwing the dirty stuff aside and shit and just leaving all that stuff. I don't know. It's, to me, it just makes it more of a relaxed and controlled kind of feeling experience instead of like some chaotic bullshit. Now just add the egg whites, and then I will start mixing. Mixing until combined. At the very least, put some water in this bowl. Get it started on its cleaning. And now start mixing. The most annoying part with cupcakes, or just muffins or cupcakes in general, is just getting the batter into each little individual part, or each individual section for the cupcake tin or whatever. To me, that's the most obnoxious part about making cupcakes and muffins, is just that process. Outside of that, it is fairly simple. It's, you know, it's about as simple as just making cake batter, but yeah, you just have to distribute it differently. And like in this, they say when you're doing stuff like making cake and shit, not to overmix. But the thing is, and that's why they sometimes will say this in the instructions, is it doesn't matter really how much you mix for the most part. It almost never matters in this step, where it is still the liquids being mixed together. The liquids including the sugar. Like sugar becomes, since sugar dissolves into liquids, it is kind of considered a liquid in a way, like kind of similar to butter in a sense. It's like it's considered wet. It's considered a wet ingredient, not a dry one like flour and baking soda and salt and baking powder and all that stuff. So sugars, they are technically wet, even if they don't seem like that initially. But like in this stage, overmixing, you can overmix depending on, like, you don't want to get too many air bubbles and stuff, but like it is kind of impossible to overmix in that sense in this stage. But once you put the dry with the wet, once this gets mixed with the dry, the flour specifically, that's when, oh wait, I need to add vanilla. That's when overmixing can occur, because that's when, at least supposedly this is how it works, that's when the gluten development occurs, once the flour gets mixed in with the liquids. And the more you mix, the more gluten develops, the more the gluten whatever develops from the mixing of the flour. Wow. I'm gonna do, shit, how much is that? 4 teaspoons? Thanks ChatGPT for not giving me a fucking whatever. I'll just do fucking like a shit ton, like 30, 40 grams or some dumb shit, milliliters. Eyeball. I almost always eyeball the vanilla, or the extracts pretty much. But yeah, if you overmix in the flour, when you start to add the flour, that's when the gluten development can cause a problem. And if you mix it too much, it'll become more bread-like almost, where it'll be what would you call it, like elasticy or kind of like chewier. It'll become chewier instead of like airy in a way. And then if you overmix it even more, like to a crazy amount, then it just like makes it like a goop, not a goop, but like a chewy, not enjoyable like mass kind of thing. It's strange how it works, but okay, that is quite a lot of vanilla, but yeah. I didn't add the other vanilla flavor stuff, and it does already call for a lot of vanilla, so I will just add a lot. This is why it's nice making your own vanilla extract and shit, because you don't really care as much, because vanilla extract and all these extracts are not exactly cheap per ounce or whatever, like if you get them at the store. If you buy them at the store and shit. So being able to just kind of make a whole shit ton at a time and then just use it over many months is very nice. But yeah, with the dry stuff, you really do not want to overmix. Like, it's hard, it's difficult to overmix that much when you're doing it by hand like this. This is one of the reasons I like doing it by hand, prefer doing it by hand. One of the reasons. There's many reasons for that, but that's one of them. But like it's way easier to overmix when you're using something like the KitchenAid mixer or whatever, like one of those electric mixers. When you do it by hand, it's kind of difficult to do that. You can do it. It's just it's just a lot more difficult to do, like, unintentionally. But yeah, if you go crazy with the mixing after you get to the flour point, when you add the dries, then, especially in something like that's supposed to be cakey and airy, that can really fuck up the texture in the end. So you know, you don't have to be like super careful, but you have to be a little bit careful when doing the dry, when you actually mix in the dry finally. It's a little bit chunky, but it's, once again, it's because the Greek yogurt in there. It's, you know, it like kind of, it doesn't like dissolve super nicely or whatever. But you know, it's mostly all right. It's mostly all right. Okay, now to add the dry, which, yeah, technically it's a good idea to put all the dry ingredients in their own thing and whisk them together and shit. Excuse me, but I don't know, I find in a lot of cases it's not that big of a deal. You can just kind of do that while you're mixing in the initial phase or whatever. So how much flour do I need? $400, and so I'll probably do about 4. Since I added quite a bit of liquid, probably about 430, 440. Baking powder, baking soda, salt. Take all those out. Baking powder, baking soda. And I'm going to need more flour. So I'll empty what's in here out and then use another bag and fill it back up. It's actually had more in that than I expected. At least going by volume or by weight. You want to see Buddy? He's sleeping on the couch. I don't know if you'll be able to see him that well. I don't know where the camera is facing, but doing a little pan shot, you should be able to see him at least a little bit. Yeah. Hi, buddy. All right. But yeah, this is why these hard plastic containers are very nice for holding stuff like this. Like, sure, you could just use the bags. You could just use the bags, but I find it a lot better to just put it into a separate thing like this. Alright. I'm surprised. Well, actually, does it say that? To sift it? Does it say to sift it? I don't think so. Slowly mix dry. Well, I mean, kind of, sort of. Kind of, sort of. Kind of, sort of. But, it's alright. Fuck it. It's alright. How much was it? $4.30 or $4.40? Yeah. Something like that. It's gonna be quite the filled... Well... That's enough. That's enough, methinks. Gonna be quite the filled mixing bowl here. But once the liquid starts to mix with the dries, it reduces in volume quite a bit. This is also one really nice advantage of mixing mixing by hand like this is when you put this, like, if you put this amount into like a the stand mixer or whatever, one of those KitchenAid mixers, it would make a fucking, like, if you're not careful and you like pulse it initially a few times, it can make a big fucking mess, a cloud of flour just come out the way it mixes and shit. Whereas when you do it by hand, it is very difficult, if you're careful, to make a giant mess like that. Alright, so 1 teaspoon, so 2 of these baking powder, and then, so 2, 1, 2. 2, 1 baking soda, yeah. 2, 1, 2. And yeah, I don't, with this stuff, I don't really bother doing the level thing, where you level it out first and all that bullshit with the knife. I don't know, I understand there is a difference, but it's not enough for me to care. Pretty much, I don't think I've ever had a problem just doing it, sort of eyeballing it. Now, there's obviously more when you have like a heaping amount on the what do you call these? The measuring device. I forget what these things are called. But I find usually that little extra amount generally doesn't hurt anything. Not saying it can't, and there's some things that you would be better off being more exact, but yeah. From my experience, it's not a big deal. You just kind of eyeball it with those. And the only reason I even go by the teaspoons and tablespoons thing is it's a lot more difficult to well, depending on how responsive your food scale is, I guess. It's difficult to get the exact things for small amounts like that, like say 4 grams at a time kind of shit, like it won't always react to that kind of change. So in those cases, it's a lot easier for the really small weight amount thing, dry ingredients like that, such as baking powder, baking soda, and salt, to just kind of use the volume measurements with the little measuring spoons and shit. But as I said, I don't go super crazy with the precision on those. I just kind of eyeball it. I don't do the fucking the knife leveling bullshit. It's not necessary. But one of the best parts of flour using a scale does involve that is just how what would you say, like flour is usually in fairly high volumes or fairly high weight values, and I think measuring flour with the volume measurements is one of the biggest pains in the ass. So being able to do it with the food scale is so fucking awesome. Yeah, like I'm not saying there's absolutely no merit to volume measurement, because there is in some cases, but I think the vast majority of the time weight measurement reigns supreme. But the fact that people are so stupid that I don't know, that they feel like they have to follow every recipe exactly, like if a recipe doesn't give weight measurements outright, then they're like, well, I guess I have to go by the volume instead, where it's like, no, you could just convert the shit yourself and then use the weight measurements and make your life a whole lot easier. But no, that's too much thought. That's too complicated for most people, and in this case I usually mean women that do baking and shit. They just don't understand. They don't understand like the most simple fucking bullshit math to convert stupid shit like this. It's ridiculous, but hey, not surprising either. So usually with a cupcake kind of batter, it's somewhat liquidy. Like certain cake batters can be sometimes quite firm, and not like say easy to pour or whatever. But usually cupcake batters are somewhat watery. Now muffin batters are different. Those muffin batters usually can be quite thick, on the thick side. Now, this is one of those cases where it's like, I probably should have sifted the flour, because you can see there's like a lot of pieces or like large chunks of flour in there still. So you want to try and mix those all in the best you can, as well as touching the bottom of the bowl and stuff. Because in this case, it's not so much about the mixing, it's about getting everything covered with batter or whatever, getting everything covered uniformly inside the mixture. And I mean, so far it's looking pretty decent, even with those big chunks of flour. It's not too bad, so I think I'm fairly happy with that. So, okay, now for the slightly annoying part. The most annoying part of cupcakes, at least. I will put I will put this bowl away. Dry it off a little bit. Just get it out of the way. And then I will turn the oven on, or preheat the oven to the desired temperature. I don't know why that feels so sticky. Okay, but I think in this case, 350. 350 is the... I could be wrong, actually. Sometimes they say for cupcakes and muffins and stuff to, I guess, kind of get the initial rise to occur. So then they kind of have like a more balloon, what would you say, like a, not ballooning, but like, so the top part sort of puffs out more and gives that kind of like distinctive shape. So sometimes they say, depending on the batter, I guess. I think that usually happens with muffins more so than cupcakes. But sometimes they say to cook them on like, say 400 or 375 for a certain amount of time, and then after that point, change it to like 350 or some shit or something like that. That often happens. All right, feels dry enough. But let's see, just in case, what the what the temperature is. 350. Preheat to 350. Till no lumps remain. Batter will be thick. Well, it's fairly thick. It's not the thickest batter I've seen, but it's fairly thick. Divide batter among blah 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 and bake for 20 minutes or until a toothpick inserted in the center comes out clean. Allow to cool. Okay, so I'm using cupcake liners this time, or disposable ones, because I'm going to be bringing these to a sort of dinner party thing, so it's a lot easier just to have disposable ones instead of fucking reusable bullshit, which like to be annoying sometimes. Or well, you know, if they're reusable, then that also means that you have to worry about getting them back afterwards, so it's like, eh. And you could just remove them beforehand and then pack them in something else. But then if you have the the liner removed after the stuff's all baked, it makes the outside like get kind of stale. Makes the outside get kind of stale compared to if it has the liner on still while it's just kind of sitting around. So in this case, disposable is, I think, a lot better choice. And you could even use no liners if you wanted to, but then the shape would be much different, as well as the baking time itself does become different. The shape becomes a lot more smooth on the edges, obviously, because it doesn't have these, the liners have this texture on them, or whatever you want to call it. But that also changes sort of how the batter like rises. So I think if you do it without the liners, they generally don't rise as much, because I don't know, something about they can't it can't like adhere to the outside as well, or some shit like that. Oh wait, yeah, brought this thing, large cookie scoop. This will hopefully make it easier to do this and not make a giant mess. Now, it doesn't really matter, like I'm not going for exact amounts here, I'm just kind of going for whatever I can do. But I think I'm just gonna eyeball it this time because I don't know, fuck it. I've tried to do the weighing sometimes, but I don't know, it never goes that well from my experience. Alright. Now, do I really need this whisk? I think it's just gonna get in the way, so I think I'm gonna remove the whisk for now. You know what, I could put it on this plate. That's what I have it there for, so may as well do that. Alright. Now I think usually the quote unquote rule is like 3/4 of the way filled is generally the kind of thing you try to go for. Let's see. One thing I could do is just do it in my hand. Possibly. Yeah, fuck it, I'll try it. This is a little bit watery for this kind of tool, but you know what? Try it with just this spoon, see what happens. Might take a while though. I don't think it's particularly any better. It's just the dripping part that makes it difficult. There we go. Yeah, like that works, but as you can see, it's deforming in my hand. So, I think that's a good amount of fillage. I think that's a good amount. Might even be, could probably use a little bit more, but as you can see, holding it in your hand like that doesn't work that well because it deforms too much to really be easy to work with. Really, with this batter, I should have used that other thing that I bought, but fuck it. That thing was a pain in the ass in its own way. Yeah, even if I make a little mess with the batter, I'll just clean it up the best I can. And I'll probably, depending on how much batter I have left, I'll just top any off that need to be topped off. It's not a big deal. Yeah, I mean, I'll see in the end how much batter I really have left. Oops. Okay. Could be one of those cases where I have more batter left than not enough, which doesn't usually happen with cupcake recipes. Usually it's, in my experience, it's you make less than the recipe often says or whatever. But I guess it mostly just matters on what fuck do you call it? Yeah, it mostly just matters how much you fill the liners and stuff. This case, I'm definitely not that even on each one, but I'll try my best to level them out. But it's alright if you have one or two cupcake things not filled. It's not a big fucking deal. Yeah, even if I make a little mess on the tin, I could just wipe it off with a paper towel later. Fuck it. I mean, based on the consistency, these are definitely going to become cupcakes. I know that, because muffins I've made a few times, but they are definitely significantly thicker than cupcake batter. So this being more watery is definitely more in line with what cupcakes probably should be. Yeah, I think, I guess it really depends on how often you make muffins and cupcakes and shit, but yeah, I think the disposable liners, after using the reusable silicone ones, I definitely think the disposable ones are a lot less annoying overall than the reusable stupid ones. Like, they have their merits, but just the reusable ones are just such a fucking pain in the ass to clean afterwards. They have these little indentations or crevices or whatever, and yeah, they're just really obnoxious to clean. And you know, the disposable ones are not exactly like the cheapest kind of baking reusable thing or whatever, like, but yeah, depending on how often you make these, I think it is worth it just to use the fucking disposable ones. They're just so much more convenient. Fucking man. Waiting for this to drip to stop. It's like, fuck it. I could do that. It's just when you have so many to fill, it's like, screw it, dude. Yeah, you don't want to overfill your cupcakes too much either, because then they won't like cook evenly as. I mean, you want them all as even as you can get them to each other, because then they'll more evenly cook. But you also don't want to overfill each individual tin, because then they'll like overflow, sort of, as they're rising. So in this case, I actually think I will have a little bit of batter left, which is kind of better than not having enough. Which is usually better than not having enough, I would say. But yeah, I will try to even these all out and fill them a bit more with this batter I have left. And this, I'm pretty much done with this. I think now down to the more precise, well, not even precise, but the more the less volume spoon. Just a little spoon, even though it's fucking being messy as shit, but whatever. That one could definitely use a bit more. But, as I said, you don't want to go too crazy and overfill. Like 3/4 of the way up is pretty much the limit you should be shooting for. That one needs quite a bit. That's good. These ones up here need quite a bit. Yeah, look at this fucking mess. This is why I'm not the biggest fan of making cupcakes, because just this bullshit. Just this bullshit mess it makes trying to fill these fuckers. But the end product is nice, and these kind of, you know, easily portioned, bite-sized, kind of, not so much bite-sized, but kind of bite-sized cake sort of deals, instead of a big cake that you have to slice up and everything. I understand the appeal, it's just, they are definitely more annoying than just a singular cake, from my experience. Somebody has some secret not to make a giant mess as you're doing this. That can use a little bit more. Yeah, this is actually pretty close, I think, in terms of how much is needed here for 2 dozen. Yeah, I think that's good. Oops. Shit. Ooh. Some flour there. Try to mix that up. Okay, I think that one can actually use a little more. Methinks. Okay, that's enough for that. This I will clean after I do this other one. This other one, most of them look okay, fairly okay. Some of them do need to be filled more though. That one. That one could use a bit more. This top one could use a bit more. Ugh, jeez. God damn it. It's fucking cupcakes, man. Muffins and cupcakes, whatever. Things that use these tins, fucking annoying. Yep. But at least I have extra batter here, so it's not a big deal, all that waste going on. Yeah, that one can use a good bit. This one could use a little bit. Maybe even a bit more. This one could use a fair amount. Probably now it's a little overfilled actually, but that's alright. And yeah, I'm not going to bother with this amount that's left to like try and make another fucking cupcake or some bullshit. That's just not worth the effort. Not worth the effort. Alright, they're looking fairly even. Those are looking fairly even, I think. Alright. I think we're good then. Ugh. Let this big mess rinse in the sink. And yeah, I'm just gonna let that, even though there's a fair amount of batter in there, I'll just let it dissolve or whatever you want to call it. I'll even throw a bit of soap in here. You know, I personally try to avoid soap just because it costs so much. The good dish soaps cost quite a bit. Like the dollar store ones, like non-Dawn, like they work, I guess, but they're definitely not as, they are notably not as good as the, they're notably not as good as the Dawn brand or whatever. Alright, so how am I going to, I'm going to put them in the middle rack. They both should fit. I'm pretty sure I've done that before, so they both should fit fine. But yeah, I gotta wipe this bullshit off. Because it's gonna make a mess. Just gonna use a bunch of paper towels, screw it. Fuck it. There are points where being frugal is just not even worth the effort. It's okay. Just use a bunch of paper towels, who cares? Like a little bit doesn't really matter, but the big globs, that'll burn and be a bit of an issue if I don't clean it up at least most of the way. I think that's good enough. And here, quite a good mess. These are cheap as fuck paper towels anyway, so I actually like the cheap, really cheap paper towels. I like them not being like super thick, because I think a lot of the time this ridiculous thickness is unnecessary for a lot of jobs you're doing with paper towels. That is one of those cases where store brand, I think for most jobs, is perfectly acceptable. Or, I mean, in most cases, I think store brand is perfectly acceptable, but even more so here than other cases. Like with Dawn dish soap, store brand is, I mean, yeah, store brand is definitely not as good. It's like notably worse. But stuff like paper towels, doesn't really matter. Doesn't really matter. Yeah, this is why fucking cupcakes and shit are obnoxious. Alright, I think that's clean enough. I think that's clean enough. Cupcakes and muffins, while great, they're also kind of annoying. I know, yeah, these cupcake tins, the actual like tin itself is very obnoxious to clean, because depending on what you did with it or whatever. But yeah, they're not necessarily easy to clean after the fact. They have lots of little nooks and crannies that don't like to get washed well. Alright, what should I put in first? I'll put that one in first. And open this shit up. Put it in there that way, and then put these in there this way. They should both fit, just barely. Now, how long did it say to cook? Bake for 20 minutes or until toothpick inserted. Alright, so I'll just say 20 minutes. Might need to be a bit longer, but just have to see. They're probably even a bit overfilled in some ways. So I'll probably add 1 minute more. Little dials. She made them quite dirty, getting shit on them. Not too surprising with that one. She likes to make quite a mess of things. Flings shit around while in the kitchen like I think it's a food fight sometimes. Alright, well now while I'm waiting for them to cook, I will make the frosting, but first I'm going to clean up this mess. So I'm going to cut the recording for then. First, actually, let me see. Let me see. About an hour. It says the battery's a little bit low. Well, let's see. There's me. There is me. I'm not an AI generated person. The battery is about 1 bar, so I'm gonna cut the recording for now, and then maybe I will continue recording when they're done and ready to be frosted and stuff. But we'll see, I guess. But all right, I'll cut this for now. See ya. Okay, I am back. I washed the dishes that were dirty. They're just drying now, and the cupcakes have been done for about well, I took them out about 20 minutes ago or something. And yeah, they look pretty good. As I showed with the stuff that spilled on the sides, even the stuff that I cleaned up, got some burns a little bit there. So yeah, I'm glad I cleaned up most of that first, because otherwise it would have been even more of a mess. But yeah, it looks pretty good. They look pretty good, generally. Some better than others, but not too bad. So the next thing I'm gonna do is, yeah, I don't know how long I'll be on. I might, if I see my mom pull up, I'll probably cut the recording, but I'll see. I don't know. See how I'm feeling. I did charge up the GoPro for a little while there, and supposedly it's back to its, well, I mean, not full battery, but it's back to 3 bars instead of 1, so should be good for however long this one lasts. I guess I'll put her coffee maker on, fuck it. Now, because unless she's not back for a while, it should be a good amount of time, I guess. Put that on. If I put this on, then it means she will less likely get in my way while I'm actually doing stuff. Should be on. We'll start making noises in a moment as the pump turns on. Yep. There we go. Yep. Seems right. This is dry. This is dry. Put that away. Let those dry some more. This I will need for the mixing. But yeah, I'm gonna be making some vanilla buttercream icing for these cupcakes. Buttercream is surprisingly easy to make with the, I mean, it takes some arm strength and some arm effort, but it's really not that bad. Yeah, it's working. All right. Whatever. Good enough. Okay, so want to dry off that big mixing bowl completely, or most of the way. Not that it really matters. Yeah, these mixing bowls I got at the food stores were actually surprisingly good. I don't know, just very big. Not like the biggest, but definitely big enough for most tasks, most things. And yeah, they're pretty good. Pretty good. So first, you need 2 cups, or not 2 cups, 1 cup. Hi, buddy. Hi. Need 1 cup of room temperature butter, which I have. 1 cup. Hi, buddy. 1 cup, which is 2 sticks. Now, did not double the recipe for this icing because, from my experience, you really don't need that much icing to frost cupcakes. So I'll just have to see and then approximate based on that. But for now, I'll be going with the recipe that was just for one batch of it, and see how that goes. Yeah, buttercream is pretty easy to make. It's very easy to make in my opinion. Like, you could kind of just throw from what I've seen, you could pretty much just throw all the ingredients into a bowl and just start mixing for a while, and it'll come out pretty decent. And you can't over mix it, so it's like, you pretty much just mix it as long as you want until it gets as smooth as you want, and then go from there. Now, I'm sure there's reasons to do it in some specific order, but I don't know. To me, it seems like just putting it all at once is definitely the easiest. Obviously, most straightforward kind of deal. Some butter. And it's not a good idea to generally mix the what do you call it, the cream or the heavy cream all at once, because then you don't know, you can't if you put too much liquid or too much cream, whatever, then you can't take it out. Like, you could always put more confection or powdered sugar or whatever as you need it, but you can't take out too much liquid, so you just, at that point, you have to add more to to change the consistency, confection or sugar and shit. But I don't really care. I'm fairly confident that it'll be fine with that amount that I have now, or at the very least, I might even need to add a little more, but for right now, I'm pretty confident with that amount, so I'll just add it all at once. Let's see, vanilla, salt. So I'll just add the confectioner sugar now, so 480 to 600, that's quite the range. But I'll just add this, and then see what happens. Man, it is sunny as shit out right now. Like, blindingly sunny. Alright, that's pretty much all of it. What's that, about 200? So, need another package. Is this the oldest? I don't know. I'm feeling this one's older, so I'll just... Does it have an expiration on it? Probably. Not that it really fucking matters. Yeah, May 2017. Oh, that's weird. Okay, so this one is like supposedly 1 day less than that. That's pretty silly, but okay. This here. Whoa. It's getting stuck there. Hey. Oh. Oh, oh. Something else? Yeah, good enough. All right. Wow, that was a lot of coffee, actually. Oh, well. Fuck it. It was a fair amount of coffee grind, so I figured the amount of coffee was okay, but whatever. Not a big deal. It's just water. It's just water. That is crazy that that amount of coffee was made from that amount of water, and it wasn't even halfway up the little gauge on the side. That's nuts. You need to have a giant ass coffee pot to not be overfilled there. Scissors are your friend. Scissors are your friend. They're your good friend. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go probably somewhere in the middle, like 500, maybe 520 confectioner sugar. I mean, I could always add more. That's the thing. Once you've mixed most of it, making more or adding more is significantly easier for whatever reason. Like once the mixture is sort of already done for the most part, it's magnitudes easier to just incorporate more, I found, if you need to. Whoa. Yeah, I'll go with that. That seems fair. That seems fair. I'll just close this up for now with the assumption that I won't need more, but if I do, just take it out. Not a big deal. Just take it out again, not a big deal. No, I didn't. Doesn't matter. And now, yeah, I'll throw in the cream. The cream of the crop. The cream of the crop. Yeah, brother. The cream. I think that was Macho Man that said that bullshit, probably. That was his stupid thing. Yep. And, oh no, wait, was it Macho Man? I didn't know shit about wrestling. I guess that was Macho Man, and Hulk Hogan was a different guy. Yeah, okay, so I was gonna say that that guy's dead, but he might be dead. But, I don't think it's the same guy I'm thinking of. Pretty sure it's not. Why did I even take out the almond extract? Vanilla extract. Well, I'm going to be using that for another thing after I'm done with this. So, yeah, I'll throw a little bit in. Almond extract is always nice. Very nice smell. Throw a little bit in. Get some extra flavor, why not? Then the vanilla. And then salt as necessary. Yeah, that's enough. That's enough. That's enough vanilla, I think. This will probably actually be a fairly almondy tasting buttercream, which I think that's fine. Just throw in a little bit of salt initially. If I need more, I could put more. That's why it says to taste. I'm not tasting it yet because it's not even mixed. Now time to mix. Now for the hard part, the relatively hard part. So I try to break up the butter like this. While it's under there. And then just start mixing. As I said, or at least as I've read, and I assume this is pretty much the case, it just seems that way. It's pretty much impossible. I don't really think it's possible to overmix a buttercream, American buttercream at least. Like there's many other types of icings and frostings and stuff that have much different procedures on how they are made and stuff. The process is much different. Buttercream is pretty fucking simple and fairly idiot proof. And that, yeah, you just keep mixing it, and mixing more past a certain point isn't really going to do anything bad to it or whatever. If anything, it'll just maybe it'll make it a little bit more airy, so there's more air pockets, which can be problematic depending on if you care that much about when the frosting is piped. Depending if you care if it looks like perfect without little air bubbles and stuff. But if you don't care, it's essentially impossible to overmix this shit. And it surprisingly quickly comes together. Like, you think if you're doing it by hand like this, you think, oh man, it'll take fucking ages compared to using a stand mixer or something like a machine, but it really doesn't. Especially with like something like this Danish whisk, like, because like this shit was just made for this almost. Like you could not do this with a balloon whisk. This would not work. It'd be way too goddamn thick to effectively mix like this. You just break the whisk. But this, with this Danish whisk, you just go all out, man. This thing ain't gonna fucking break, and it just kind of glides through. The way it's designed, it really is like pretty much perfect for doing this by hand. I have tried other I have tried other icings before, like when I've made carrot cake. And, I forget what other one that I made that used, cream cheese, or is that what they just call it? Yeah, just cream cheese icing. It's pretty similar to, American buttercream. It's just less sweet, a little bit tangy because of the, cream cheese. The issue is that it is not really stable at room temperature. Like, it'll melt to some extent if left at room temperature, so you can't really leave it out. You have to kind of refrigerate it. But with American buttercream, it's pretty much room temperature stable as long as you need it to be, or whatever. Like, it's not gonna get fucked up from being at room temperature for too long or whatever. It's just good. Yeah, like, this shit's almost fucking ready already. Like, I mean, that's just nuts. How easy it comes together. How quickly it comes together. And I don't think I'll need to even make any modifications. Like adding more cream or powdered sugar or anything like that. Now, we'll do a quick taste. That is good, but it's quite sweet. I will add some more salt. Just a little bit more salt. Mix that together, taste it, and see if that's good. Not that a little sweet is a bad thing, it's just, you don't want that, super sweet. But this is the disadvantage with American buttercream, is that it is, relative to other icings and frostings that exist out there, it is extremely sweet comparatively. I mean, you just have to imagine, it's like pure fucking confectioner sugar, so. It's essentially just confectioner sugar and butter, so yeah, you kind of get an idea of why it is so sweet. Arm's getting just a bit tired, but not too bad. I've had worse. Yeah, this balloon whisk is so fucking good, man. I mean, this Danish whisk is so good, man. It is perfect for this kind of shit. I just want to mix that salt in so I can get an idea. See how it is. Perfect. At least to me, I think that's pretty much perfect. Pretty much perfect. Now that that's pretty much ready, I guess I will get the piping bag shit ready. But first, I'm gonna try to do, possibly fill them. Even just this bowl would be enough for the little pieces. I think that's what I'll try to do first, is I'm going to try and fill them with something. Either that lemon curd that I made, or this raspberry spread. I'll go with the raspberry, probably. Guess I'll leave that there. Oh, food scale I could put over here. Get it out of the way. Let's see, how am I gonna how am I gonna take the stuff out of this? Alright, they're cool enough. Take them off this rack. Take them off these racks. Well, so at least one thing, they just kind of cut it with a knife and then just fill it from there. Yeah, I think I'll use that stuff. Even though the lemon curd would probably be good too. Yeah, who knows, maybe I won't have enough. Maybe I won't have enough. And some kind of knife. That would be good to make some kind of cavity in there. I guess I'll try this one. See, I could do what I also saw, which was use a piping bag to basically squeeze the filling in there. I don't know, I just have a feeling it won't work that well. I don't know. I'm probably wrong, but I'd rather just try it like this first. And this way I could probably add even more filling rather than not, I guess. So let's see how, put it at like an angle. Doesn't need to be a massive amount. Next one I could go even deeper, I think. Next one I'll try to go even deeper at an even bigger angle. That might have been a bit too far. Because I probably hit the liner. That's alright. Not a big deal either. And I'll just be doing this for all of them, I guess. Give them a nice little filling of some kind. And the recipe did not, you know, call for or expect this, but I want to give it a try. I think filled cupcakes sounds pretty good. This will take a few minutes at the very least. And just for brevity's sake, I guess I will cut right now, and maybe I'll start recording again after I'm done. So yeah, I'll be right back, possibly. Alright, I'm back. So luckily I just had barely enough to use up the rest, or I just had barely enough to fill up basically all of them. Some of them much more than, some of them a fair amount more than others, but yeah, using that raspberry film, but they look pretty good so far. I'm sure it will taste pretty good. But now I'm getting the piping bag for the frosting. So I have these reusable ones, and in this case I will, because I would like to use one of these couplers to be able to easily swap them if I want. As well as it's nice to have this big size, 16 inches or whatever, 16-inch size. But what are the, oh yeah, these are practice things, I think, some shit like that. Yeah. Most stuff I do not need. I don't know what that was for. Some bullshit. Now, I think these are all the same size. These, and those are, yeah, the same fucking ones. So these couplers should all work. Now, how do you do it again? First you put this through, I think. First you put this through. And then you have that cut somewhat like, probably like to about there or something. And then you put the piece on, and then you screw it on so you can, yeah. Okay. And now these are fairly small piping tips. Like they don't extrude that much individually, which I don't know if I want that in this case, because I remember last time I had a fair amount left over, which I didn't, it wasn't necessarily a bad thing, but I didn't really want it as well. Because these are like very small piping tips. At least they're a lot smaller than I expected them to be. So I think I'm going to try and use the bigger ones here. Keyword is try. Oops. It's not that I want to run out of icing or anything, it's just I also want to not have like a whole massive fuck ton left if I don't need to. Oops. No, I want that kind. First I'll look for what kind of tip I'm looking for. This kind is a good contender. This kind too. No, not really. Those are for like flowers and shit. Nope. 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 I think probably those two will work. Now let me make sure that the right coupler size. Why do they seem so small? They seem way too small. Didn't I have another one? Wasn't there another one that came with this? I forget. No, it came with an extra one of these. Yeah, these feel way too small for this. Oh wait, no. I think these ones do it like this, kind of, some shit. But that wouldn't make sense. That wouldn't make sense. Maybe these goes with standard tips? That doesn't seem right either. That does not seem right either. Something's wrong here. Something is wrong here. Maybe it really does expect you to do like that, but it kind of defeats the purpose of the coupler. That's not right. That's not right. I don't know why the head strap is being more uncomfortable than usual right this second. Maybe this, but even that doesn't make sense. Maybe it does. Okay, maybe it does. Yeah, I think that does make sense. Let's do a dry fit and see if it works. because this is way too big. Maybe it's not. Yeah, it is. That's way too big. So this has to be the right size. This one. And then it just goes like this. And when you screw it on, it's pretty much straight. Yeah, that seems right. Still a little weird, but that is correct, I believe. That's all I should need. Take one of these rubber bands. You know, I probably won't use it. Just leave it. Yeah, I'd like to use the little piping tips, but they're like too small details. They don't have enough. They don't put out enough volume. You have to use like a whole shit ton to make any amount come out, pretty much. For a cupcake, that's not what I want. Alright. So let's try. Actually, didn't I have one that was already cut? It wasn't cut very good, but it was cut. Let's see if this will work. I mean, it will, but at the same time, I don't want it to just blow out, so I'll use a new one. Fuck it, a uncut one. Excuse me. This. Then I need to. Oops. What I found is that you don't really need to cut them that far down. You do, it could be a bad thing too. You can always cut more, but you can't cut less, or you can't uncut. You can't uncut the shit. So maybe about there or something. Work, I guess. Let's see. Well, the coupler does fit through, and it doesn't seem to be so cut that it'll just bulge out, so that's good. For now, I'll go with that tip, I guess. Try to. And then try to screw this thing on. Nah. These things are fucking annoying. Yeah. Feels mostly secure. Feels secure enough. And it's got a hole out, going out. Yeah, it feels good enough. Now, will I feel like actually switching the tips? I have no clue. Put these out of the way somewhere. Scissors, can put away. Now I can try to fill this bitch up, and I'll use this as the base. Now I don't know how well this will work because of how big it is, but certainly be better than no base at all. Wow, that is that is quite a bit. God damn. That's the clear disadvantage of using piping bags that are this big. If you only have a glass or something that's that size to fit it over. Yeah, well, we'll see, I guess. Fuck it. We shall see. Mix this up a little bit. Gets a little crust. Starts to form a little crust on it at room temperature, so. That almond extract definitely, yeah. Like, I mean, I guess that's depending on what you're looking for, but I think it's kind of hard not to justify adding a little bit of almond extract to a lot of this kind of shit. Just smells so good. Tastes so nice. Alright, well, let's see how this goes. Then you do this, and then you can have a surface to, like, scrape it onto. That's the main advantage of this sort of thing. Now, the problem is, well, there's actually quite a bit of frosting, actually. Shit. This is why I'm glad I did not, like, double this recipe or some bullshit, because it really does not need it. Clearly. Okay, I got quite a big air pocket in there, but that's alright. Put too much pressure and then it starts, I mean, it's gonna have to come out anyway, but yeah. Alright, let's start twisting. Oh shit. Alright, well, let's start, I guess. Try. These are not going to be very pretty, but screw it. As long as I cover the top. Yeah, it's, for a first one, not too bad. Not too shabby. What I probably should have done is take these out. Take these out first before frosting them, but nah, it's alright. Oh, that was nice. That was a good one. That was a good one. Wasn't too bad either. Not amazing, but not terrible. sucked because I missed the edge. Ooh, that was good. It's probably the best one. Best one so far. That was alright too. Is there enough to do one more? I think so. Oh shit, that was pretty close to the edge, but not a terrible recovery there. Alright, need more filling. While I'm at it, guess I'll try to change the coupler. Fuck it. Or the tip. Why not? Yeah. Unfortunately, it's sort of a waste of frosting, that little bit, but not a huge deal. Secure enough. Alright. Back in we go. Now, unfortunately, that it's been filled already, now it is quite a bit messier, but oh well. And that'll work, I guess. Here's the end of the glass. Okay. Be nice if I can somehow get the rest of it in this last scooping or whatever. Maybe it's not necessary. It wasn't that messy to get it back like this, so fuck it. But that's why it's nice to have these bigger ones, because you have plenty of room to work with. Okay, now one thing that sucks is that there's going to be a big air pocket that pushes out the rest. I'm probably just going to have to push that out anyway. That's all right. Now twist. Oh, I like this tip. I like this tip. It's got a very smooth pattern. Oh yeah, I like this one. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Yeah, I like, this is a good tip. It's like star tip or whatever you'd call it. A little bit close to the edges, but that's okay. Oh yeah, very nice. I think I'm gonna have to refill again. Shit. Shit. Am I gonna have enough for 9 more? I think I should. Oh man, that was beautiful. Holy shit. Alright, so moving quickly and moving quickly seems to be one of the better ways to do that. Wow. That was probably the best one I did so far. But yeah, I like this tip, but it has uses quite a bit of volume. So I think I'll just have probably just enough frosting for 8 more. I think. Be cutting it a bit close, but it should be all right. Alright, let me just get this thing out of here. Try and get as much of the frosting off of it as I can. It's not a big deal though if I can't. That's the only, well, okay, now you know what? Even then, the Danish whisk is so much easier to clean than a balloon whisk. Even though it's not the easiest utensil to clean, but it is much easier than a balloon whisk, which I think is notably annoying to actually clean. Alright, that's good enough, I guess, for that. Now, try and get the rest in here. Yeah, I think that's about as good as I'm gonna get. About as good as I'm gonna get. Okay. Eight more. And while I'm pushing this through, I'll leave it over near these cupcakes because I don't want to waste one bit. And I know that air pocket's gonna want to push that shit out. Yep, doing it right now. It's gonna be a big fat air pocket. Very nice. Went a little bit light on the frosting on that one, but that's okay. Very nice. Very nice. Very nice. Not bad. Oh yeah, I'll have enough. Not a massive amount of enough, but enough. Ah, man, fuck. Maybe not.
How much was that thing?
This?
The camera.
Oh, that? This? I bought it.
You did?
Yeah.
How much was it?
$70? I don't know. Fuck do you care?
Oh, thank you. Oh, it meant a lot.
I don't know. Done.
So I made my lemon drink and put sugar in. I said, what the fuck is that brown shit in there? Then I realized it's the cinnamon. Did you put the sugar?
Oh.
So I had to drain it out and put fresh water in there. I forgot.
Oh.
Hi,
buddy.
I got 5 minutes to myself.
Well, all things considered, not too inefficient use of everything. Not bad.
These are now.
Oh, yeah, sure.
I don't know, one with sugar and one with glaze on it.
Sure.
Keeps on giving it to me. Whatever. So you're gonna get me fucking fat.